part 2. Okay, so I know chapter 20 jumps all around. I apologize. We got to shove it all in there somewhere. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to kind of look at some of the major world agencies, and you'll do much more work with these next few slides. All right, I'm just going to toss these in there to make sure that you know that they are muy importante. So you have the United Nations. Okay, United Nations is world renowned for helping to help community and countries basically maintain world peace, communicate well with one another, and then they also have the United Nations Environment Program. That was founded fairly soon after the first Earth Day, and it helps to really kind of help push environmental treaties around the world. The World Bank, so they are basically a huge bank, and it's like the United Nations bank, okay? The World Health Organization, you've heard about them a lot as of late with all of the COVID information and all that. So the World Health Organization, their whole goal is to monitor and assess different health trends, illnesses, outbreaks, all right, and mediate some of that. And then we have the United Nations Development Program. This is yet another United Nations program, and what it does is it tries to facilitate in areas that may be underdeveloped to help them become more developed. Now, agencies just within the United States, EPA, OSHA, and the Department of Energy. So EPA, you know, that's exactly what they do, is they work with protecting certain aspects of the environment, testing, and all that kind of stuff. OSHA is their big effort really is to ensure workplaces are safe. And then the Department of Energy is a huge department, and they do a little bit of everything. They do a lot of scientific research. They dabble into the environmental realm. They're really responsible for a lot of innovation at the government level for in the sciences. All right, so it's pretty cool. They do all sorts of stuff. These are the biggest pieces of U.S. legislation that really help promote sustainability. You will need to be, you are responsible for kind of having an overall understanding of the purposes and like where they may be successful or where they may be used in terms of promoting and ensuring safety in terms of the environment. So you have, I'm not really going to go through them here, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that you are going to be responsible for here. All right, now we're going to change gears again. What we're going to do is we're going to move and figure out how do countries and societies evaluate how sustainable they are or are not. Well, there's a couple of different things we use. We have different tools. We have the Human Development Index. And what it does is it takes 3 major things: life expectancy, the education of the country as a whole. A lot of people graduate secondary school, high school. Do a lot of people go to college or trade schools or not? And then also the standard of living. So what does the economy look like in that country? So there are 3 rankings here. A country may be developed, it may be developing, or it may be underdeveloped. United States, we're developed. A lot of what we would consider to be, I'm doing air quotes here, third world countries are either underdeveloped or developing. These are 3 words you will hear all year. Here is a map of HDI. This one's from 2014. The one in your book is from about 2010. And so this one's a little bit more recent. And as you can see, the dark green are the countries that have the highest HDI. The ones that are in the lightest green have the lowest. Now, Another thing we're going to talk about is HPI, Human Poverty Index. So think about it. Poverty is going to be higher in underdeveloped and developing countries. So if a country has a low HDI, Human Development Index, they're probably going to have a higher Human Poverty Index. So it's kind of, as one goes up, the other goes down, okay? It would be in kind of an inverse relationship here. Now, this clip, right, this links to a clip. I have it posted on the TRG if you want to go watch it. It's really dry, but it's really short, just kind of a better, a little more in-depth overview of the Human Poverty Index. All right, now that's going to kind of push us to talk about what we call the triple bottom line. And this is, we look at these factors that we just talked about, HDI, HPI, and we try to figure out, is it achievable for these countries to be sustainable? Chances are, if you are if you have a higher HDI, you probably think you would be more likely to be sustainable. You have the society willing to put forth the efforts. You have the stronger economy to help push for that, and the desire to help protect the planet. But that's not always true, because you think, hey, businesses, let's get behind this. A lot of it also lies at the government level, and what are they doing in terms of legislation, acts, and treaties to help promote this. Okay, so now we're going to segue again. It's a solid tangent to environmental justice. I'm going to click on this in just a second. It shows you, and I will link this to the TRG as well. It's a very interesting website. Environmental justice is basically, do you live in an area that is unclean, that is highly polluted, that is environmentally broken down and degraded? Okay? Is where you live and the pollution levels, is that going to have an adverse reaction on your health and on the ecosystems in the area that you live in? So typically, people that live in the developing or undeveloped parts of the world, they typically have the lower incomes, and they are usually going to be at have a higher exposure rate to some of these environmental hazards. As I've mentioned earlier, these countries, especially Asia and in Africa, they are some of the largest producers of single-use plastics. So these single-use plastics get back into the environment, into the waters, into the soil, and as we all know, it takes a long time to break down. So we are just now starting to be able to do a little bit of research here to figure out what those environmental hazards are. Whereas on the flip side, in countries that are more developed, we probably have a lot more technical issues in terms of waste, nuclear waste, those kinds of things, heavy metals. How do we properly dispose of these and not make that a hazard to the environment and to humans? Okay, so I know we're 20 years into the millennium now, but the UN came up with these really cool Millennium Development Goals, and really what they do is they kind of help eradicate certain things and then really try to push and promote others. So they want to make sure all humans are equitable, like we all have an even playing field. So they're trying to get rid of that extreme poverty. They are wanting to make sure everybody gets an education. We want that gender equality that is so that is becoming more and more, you see it in the news. We're getting there. Lower the child mortality rate, especially in infants. Make sure that new mothers and pregnant women have the health that they need in order to help reduce that child mortality. Combating big time diseases, HIV, AIDS, malaria, other diseases as well. COVID probably is going to fall in there if it's not there already. Help maintain and ensure a sustainable environment, and really build a global partnership all around the world in order to help maintain and develop these goals. So the UN came up with this, and it's pretty cool. If you want to, I'll post this also on the TRG.